going into the state, you're getting ready to channel Bashar.
Mm.
I I want to talk about the movement a little bit and the sound that you emit as you're getting into that state. What is happening there where you're making that transition?
My breathing changes automatically because it's allowing more oxygen into the system to support the extra energy coming through,
Okay.
which Bashar has said is important. My body is aligning. The chakra systems are aligning. My energy is aligning. My vibration is raising to become something a little bit more similar to his. We're locking in our frequencies, sort of harmonizing in the frequencies. And that's what I've learned to do from this side. And then he is changing his frequency to be something a little bit closer to mine.
Mhm.
And then what you get is kind of, since you were speaking about avatars, you get a third representation. What you experience when Bashar is talking to you is not me and it's not him. It's a blending of the two. It's
Mm.
a third personality that represents his thoughts because he's not speaking, he's just thinking. It's just a telepathic connection.
Right.
And the information, when he answers a question, comes through in that third identity whole. All of a sudden, the entire piece of information is there. But then it takes time for it to unspool in our language because I'm acting as a translation device for his thoughts because of the language that I was raised to understand. So it simply automatically draws upon the vocabulary in my mind to explain the concept that is there as a whole thing in a split second. But it's happening in this third personality that is representative of him and representative of the channeling state I'm in, but it is neither me nor him. It's something different. And because he said, if you were to experience him directly, it would be a very different experience because
Sure.
you're experiencing a fraction of his personality in that third simulation or simulacrum or avatar that is representative of the channeling state to allow his thoughts to come through and communicate
Mhm.
to us in the language that I was programmed with, so to speak.
Mhm. That's a great illustration for us, Darryl. Really, really great.
Oh,
Creating
thanks.
sort of this third blending of the two and sort of a merging and an agreement to
Right.
be able to bring this information out the way it comes out. Wow.
Right, because it's a mix
Mm.
of his personality and my personality and a lot of other things, and
Right.
it creates a third identity that you're actually speaking with when you're speaking with him in a channeling state. It's not me, it's not him, it's a third
A
identity.
third identity. And what I find interesting is I've listened to other channelers in that state, including Jane Roberts, frankly.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're probably the only individual, one of the only individuals that I know that does not take on sort of a Germanic or European sort of dialect. You kind of, it's not you, and it's not, it's
Yeah.
very neutral. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
I
no,
do, although some people have described, see, that's what's weird, is a lot of people have said, well, what's with the accent?
I don't really
and
hear
and
one.
some people have identified it as either it's Irish or Scottish or something, and it's not an accent in the classic sense. What I think what happens is his energy emphasizes certain concepts in a certain way. My brain interprets that emphasis, that energy emphasis, in a certain way, and it sometimes comes out sounding like an accent or an inflection in
Mhm.
language, but it's not an accent because of culture. It's an accent because of energy emphasis on certain concepts that just happens to some people's ears to sound like a familiar accent
Mhm.
on our planet. And it may also have to do with some, cultural input in my personality because I am half Irish.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, so it may be drawing upon that or, accidentally pulling
Yeah.
from some of that. It's a very odd mix of things. So it's not a typical accent, but some people have heard it as an accent that
Yeah.
seems European or something else.
See, I wouldn't say so. I would say it has an affected, there's an
Yeah,
affectedness in parts of your, the dialogue, but
right.
I agree with how I resonate with the way you're explaining it actually
Yeah,
more.
it's just an emphasis that causes it to sound odd. And the one of the odd things I've found is people sometimes we've transcribed a lot of things that Bashar has said, and one time it was put in the form of poetry. It was kind of broken up more in a poetic way, and for some reason it was easier to understand him by
Hmm.
reading it as if it was a poem. So it's a very interesting kind of thing about the way the energy comes through me and the way he he speaks through me. It seems to be actually more understandable if it's almost spread out,
Mhm.
transcribed as poetry stanzas. It's a very interesting phenomenon. It's
Hmm.
very odd.